It's the first December edition version of the Occupy Fantasy Podcast. Week number 14 is upon us. It's your boy Walid. I'm here with Brian, and we are still celebrating that Maryland win from last night, huh?
Yeah, buddy. Try not to get too excited about this team, but they look pretty good.
And for those that don't know, me and Brian are both UMD alum, and that's actually how we met. So don't be surprised if you see some Terps shout outs here in the coming months. But we're here to talk football season long, and it is the final week of the regular season for a lot of folks, and it's also either like the second half of a first round matchup or first round matchup for fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, and some people are still trying to get into the playoffs for those who have four-spot playoffs. So, yeah, big week for a lot of people, and we're here to help you try to get through it and also prepare for the next couple of weeks, not just this week.
Exactly. And we talked about it last week, and I just got Ryan Fitzpatrick off waivers, overpaid, but hey, as long as he has that revenge game week 16 against the Cincinnati Bengals, it'll be worth every penny. But let's go through some of the top free agent pickups this week that aren't named Ryan Fitzpatrick.
What a crazy sentence. Yeah, there are quite a few guys, and I think Lee, there's some running backs we should look at and probably have to start with, assuming he was dropped or you play in a short bench league, Alexander Madison. We'll see if Dalvin Cook suits up. He keeps saying he's going to play. Mike Zimmer doesn't sound as confident, but if he doesn't go, Alexander Madison has maybe the best top running back of the week upside against Detroit.
I think so too, and obviously shoulder injury, not lower body, which makes you feel like hey, he could play through it. But then it's also like, what's the point? The Vikings, they should be a playoff team here, and Dalvin Cook, he's been phenomenal, but that half of that is from Minnesota's commitment to establishing the run, and that's not going to change with Madison in the backfield.
Right. So if he's available, go ahead and scoop him up still. I know we're recording this Thursday morning, so waivers have probably processed in your league. But if you have him, you should be excited because he's in a good spot. And even if Cook plays, I think, given the potential game script in that game, it could be a lot of
Yeah.
Madison in the second half. So,
For sure, definitely someone capable of vulturing a touchdown, even if Cook plays. So, what about the mustard man, Raheem Mostert? We talked about him earlier in the season. We talked about him in preseason, but it just started. I mean, he's looking like the guy.
yeah, I don't know how to approach this situation because he was basically the starter last week. He completely
Yeah,
outtouched and outsnapped Tevin Coleman, but now Matt Breida's coming back. So I don't
right.
know. I think Mostert's still worth picking up because clearly this is an incredible offensive scheme and he is a talented runner. So even if you don't play him this week, if he again gets the bulk of the workload, now you have a running back one over the playoffs.
Exactly, and then you got the Falcons in 2 weeks. Just there's some games here around the corner where if the 49ers are in a pretty position, why not give them some work? Darwyn Thompson, a guy we touted preseason, but then um, who knows what happened to the Chiefs' backfield? But it wouldn't be fantasy football if he wasn't somehow relevant again in Week 14, right?
Yeah, it always comes full circle. So now with Damian Williams still dealing with the rib cartilage injury, he did not practice on Wednesday. Very iffy for Sunday. Darrell Williams, they said a hamstring, maybe a knee, but he's definitely out this week and could be out for a couple weeks beyond that as well. So it's just LaShawn McCoy, Darwyn Thompson. They did sign Spencer Ware, but I imagine he's just an emergency type back. But they've shown that they don't want to give McCoy a ton of touches. So Darwin Thompson's in line for some work this weekend. We'll see if he can parlay it into a bigger opportunity.
And Andy Reid does like this kid. And for what it's worth, if you're in a keeper league, still has potential, to be a 2020 type of guy.
Yep.
Now, someone that we didn't see coming, preseason, but here he is, Patrick Laird. Am I getting his name right? Because I've said it many different ways at this point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Laird. But
Laird.
yeah, he has become a figure in the fantasy football community as of late, especially the DFS community. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, with Kalen Ballage now on IR, he's going to play most of the snaps. Myles Gaskin, your boy who you talked about a couple weeks ago, will get some run too. So we'll see how this shakes out. I think Laird is the better pass catching back,
Right.
but that's only because he's been used that way. I'm not sure if that'll change with Ballage out and Gaskin in the mix more.
Right. No, exactly. I mean, last week he had 10 carries for 5 yards, so not the most promising running game, but they're the Dolphins. They have Fitzpatrick. They'll be slinging the ball, and definitely an interesting pickup. Miles Gaskin, I'm curious. I'd like to see him get more involved. I know I talked about picking him up. I ended up dropping him because I needed to do other things with my roster, but it'll definitely be a situation to monitor this week and see how they'll move forward because they do have some, I think, favorable opportunities like in the final weeks of the season. And I don't think they're tanking, man. Right? Like,
I mean, Brian Flores has them playing hard. Like they're playing really well. A big turnaround from the beginning of the season for sure.
really impressive. Big win against Philly. Anthony Miller, A. Millie, he went off Turkey Day, and if you scooped him up, then you were feeling really good.
Hell yeah! What 9 for 140? Really efficient game. He actually had 140 air yards in that game, so
Yeah.
complete efficiency, finishing with 140 actual yards. And Taylor Gabriel's out again tonight, Thursday night,
Hmm.
and Miller's going to keep playing 80-90% of the snaps. So his usage has been on the upswing over the second half of the season. Was a talented dude coming out of the draft.
Exactly.
So I mean, he's in a good spot, and I like the way they're using him in the offense.
Yeah, I mean, it hits a couple of keynotes, right? High prospect. He's been banged up, but he came in very highly touted. He's extremely talented. Obviously, the Bears are the type of team that you get worried when you're relying on guys not named Allen Robinson, but he's shown thus far, if Taylor Gabriel's on the lineup, he should get his fair share of work.
Yep, exactly. And we'll see. I mean, Taylor Gabriel already has 2 concussions this year. The second one may linger for a while. So
Hmm. Yeah, speedy recovery there, but rest of the season outlook does look good for Anthony Miller. John Ross, a name that was very popular week 1, week 2, week 3, and then got hurt, but also just the Bengals fallout of this offensive line. They were just an anemic fantasy team, but now he once again the guy that he's looking to return, and he does have some upside.
yeah, supposed to play on Sunday. Let's not forget. I know it was a long time ago, but this guy had 270 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks of the season. Was fantasy's number
Yeah.
one wide receiver. So we'll see how he gets reacclimated into the offense. But if you're in need of a wide receiver or you have a free bench spot, I mean, he does have high upside, and I think he's worth stashing. I think a lot of people have forgotten about him.
100%. Now, mention Austin Hooper in the notes here. I doubt he was dropped, but if he was, that's a no-brainer. I don't know who would have dropped him, but hey, people do funny things.
Yeah, I think it's short bench leagues and definitely some casual leagues where they just saw the red O next to his name for a
Hmm.
while. But yeah, he's supposed to return this week, so Atlanta should have their full offense. As underwhelming as it's been, but they should have their full offense back this Sunday.
There you go. So let's talk about streaming options at the quarterback spot. If you've locked up a playoff spot, I hope that you've made some of these moves with tremendous foresight. But if you haven't had that luxury, it may not be too late to get your hands on like a top 5 quarterback rest of the season.
Yeah, it's very possible. Again, it's not who got you there. You gotta play what gives you the best chance to win that week. If you've been playing the guy all year, if he has a tough matchup, send him to the bench. Some guys this week lead that I have my eye on. Tannehill versus Oakland. He may have been picked up. We'll
Mm-hmm.
see. Mayfield, who we've talked about for the last couple of episodes, finally starts the easy stretch of his schedule against Cincinnati this week. Jared Goff against Seattle. And golf splits versus, just by the way, golf splits versus good pass defenses and bad pass defenses is like 200 yards per game
Yeah.
difference. And Seattle's in that bottom half of the league. Kyle Allen versus Atlanta. And then, out of nowhere,
Don't say it.
Eli
Oh, boy.
versus Philly.
Oof. A little farewell tour for Eli as Daniel Jones is dealing with a high ankle sprain. And, I mean, good for him, right? He deserves the kind of get one last crack at it in his final season. But me personally, no thanks.
Lead versus Philly this week, Miami next week, and the Skins in Week 16. Come on, man. It's like Fitzpatrick giving you the achievement unlocked. You can unlock an achievement by winning a championship with Eli too, I think.
Right. Well, okay. Let's speed up 1 week here, and I want you to convince me. Um, who are you going with? Right. You got, in theory, let's say, like right now, I have Baker Mayfield against the Arizona Cardinals.
Mhm.
I have Ryan Fitzpatrick against the Giants, or I could pick up Eli Manning against the Dolphins. Like, I'm thinking my gut's telling me I got to stick with Baker in that situation, and then, um,
Yeah.
going forward, Ryan Fitzpatrick. But can you make a case for Eli in that Week 15 matchup?
I guess we'll see how he looks against Philly, but I mean he's been on the bench for weeks now, so we really
Yeah.
don't. Any it's not like it's not like he looked that great anyways beforehand. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I probably would stick with Baker in Week 15 against Arizona, and then your boy Fitzmagic for Week 16. I think that's probably the right move.
Let's jump into some of, well, before we get to the Twitter questions, streaming defenses. I like Green Bay versus the Skins. I've been holding on to them for a while. Any other ones on your radar?
Yeah, Minnesota, if they're available, they get Detroit and David Blau this week. I know Blau had a good game in his Thanksgiving debut, but again, still an undrafted quarterback. Cleveland against Cincinnati, not as appealing as it has been with Ryan Finley, with Andy Dalton back, but still a good option. And then Houston versus Denver and Drew Lock. Drew Lock played well against the Chargers, but as 9.5 point home favorites, Houston's in a good spot.
For sure. So let's jump into some of these questions from our beloved followers. Let's start out with the homie, Mr. Leon Harris, MHSA. Jack Doyle or Austin Hooper, PPR?
I think if Hooper, I don't know, man. I would probably go Doyle. I think Doyle
Yeah.
with Ebron out, with Hilton out. I mean, his role is just too massive not to play at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think both are good options right now. You're definitely sitting pretty if assuming Hooper goes. I would still lean Austin Hooper though. Matt Ryan loves him, and he's I think just the more big play tight end in my eyes.
That's fair. I think that's totally fair. So I mean, I don't think you can go wrong either way. But if Hooper is healthy, he's probably the better option.
All right, Bake the Snake or Sam Darnold?
I will go. Man, I think I'll go Darnold this week against the Dolphins. I think I will.
Yeah, I mean, bounce back spot. He threw gave us a dud against the Bengals last week, but once again, I think you're in a good spot either way. I mean, I think Baker is like less likely to give you a dud in this situation, but both guys have similar upside.
That's true too. All right, our boy Jake the Snake, who's also from the DMV on the Virginia side,
Hey,
asked. Speaking of Jack Doyle, he has Jack Doyle or Jared Cook. Who would you go with this week? Cook against the 49ers.
I'm going with Jack Doyle here.
I agree. And then Jake also asks, full PPR, you have to pick two: Rashad Penny, Philip Lindsay, Kareem Hunt, DK Metcalf.
I mean, I got to give a shout out to our followers because they're asking good questions, right? Like a lot of times you get some folks that like you see them on podcasts and it's like, all right, what? Like, but I mean, that's tough, man. Like Rashad Penny's coming on and he's obviously getting more involved as we've talked about. Kareem Hunt is a receiving threat and he also is getting more involved in the running game. DK Metcalf, Philip Lindsay. It's got to pick two. If let's say this, if you're going for a you know low risk approach, maybe you could make a case for both Penny and Metcalf together.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. I still think you got to play Hunt though. His involvement's too great,
Yeah.
and especially in PPR. Not necessarily a cheat code because he's not playing all the time, but like he's
Right.
a really good play in PPR. So I think Hunt for sure, and then probably one of Penny or Metcalf.
And yeah, I'd say if like you're not, and once again we've talked about this before, where like head to head matchups are kind of like cash games, right? It's all about maximizing or most of the time it's more about maximizing your floor, but you got to look at your opponent. You got to really understand where their strengths, what are you expecting from them, and then make that sort of assessment. But if you were to pick the two best players here, I think you're going to go with Kareem Hunt and I think Rashad Penny.
I think so too. I mean, it's a true committee now with Penny, and they're going to want to run the ball as much as they want to. So I'm with it.
Jared Goff or Fitzmagic, Week 14. Honest dilemma, Ryan Kerner. It really is.
Yeah, who would have thought first week of the playoffs you're debating Goff or Fitzpatrick? I think I would go Goff against Seattle. I think that game has a high shootout potential, and I think he ranks a little bit higher in median projection than Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, keep Fitz though. He'll serve use for you here in a week or two.
Yeah, he definitely will. Let me see.
Okay, full PPR, Alshon or Crowder?
Let's see. Philly against the Giants. I think you got to go Crowder this week. I think Crowder against Miami, right? Yeah, Crowder against Miami for sure. That's who I would go with.
Yeah, I think so too. Just he's a PPR goblin too. That just defines a game where he'll see the ball early and often as they try to get Sam Darnold bouncing back.
Yeah, let's see. And Mr. Taylor has another question. Marlon Mac, the Mustard Man, or Breida this week in PPR? Because it sounds like Marlon Mac's going to be back.
It does, and that's one of those things. There are other guys in that backfield that scare me. It's tough. I mean, I don't know. Do you feel like Marlon Mack will come in and get 80% of the touches?
I think he'll go back to his normal workload just because it was a hand injury, not a lower body injury. So he's been able to stay conditioned this whole time. So I think he will. And yeah, but the only issue is he's playing Tampa Bay, and we know that Tampa Bay generally has been a tough run defense this year. So it's not really the strength of Marlon Mack's game to attack Tampa Bay. So I don't know. It's kind of tough. I think if we hear some word about the Mustard Man staying in a lead role, then I think you have to go him.
Yeah, I think so, man. The Mustard Man, Colonel Mustard. Any other ones here?
Yeah, our boy Double Eagles, Nick, has a couple questions. He plays in some different leagues. He has one question about a 16-team league and another question about an 8-team league. So here we go. So lead 16-team league, half-point PPR. Nyheim Hines or Royce Freeman?
I'm going to go with Nyheim Hines.
Yeah, I agree there as well. And then his 8-team question, much different. He has to pick 2 running backs from this group. Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison, and Darwyn Thompson.
Oof, keep it simple, man. I'm going to go with Aaron Jones and Austin Eckler here.
I agree. Definitely agree. And then pick 2 receivers this week. Stephon Diggs tonight against the Cowboys. Odell or Amari Cooper tonight against the Bears.
Going to go with Odell and Cooper.
I'm with you. I agree with you. Good choices.
There you go. Wow. Pretty rare. And then, so we have some overwhelming questions here. What team you rolling with out of these 6 players?
Yeah, I asked for clarification on that, and it was which side versus which side wins this matchup. Left side is one team, right side is another team.
All right, well, let's just do it for the hell of it.
Okay.
All right, Dak versus Russ. That's a wash. We'll call it a wash. If you're going to ask ridiculous questions, and we're allowed to give ridiculous answers. Dalvin Cook, CMC. Well, I'm gonna go with the white guy here.
CMC is not hurt, so I'll go with him.
You got to make the most ridiculous answer now for these questions.
Fair.
Melvin Gordon, Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs has not demanded a new contract, so I'll go with Jacobs.
Boom. Julian Edelman, Cooper Kupp.
Or is it Amari Cooper? We'll never know.
You'll never know. Well, if it's Amari Cooper, I want you to go with Cooper. But if it's Cooper Kupp, I want you to go with Cooper Kupp.
Answer. There you go.
Daily double. Our listeners are probably like, what is going on right now? Kay Allen versus and DJ Shark. Is this a super flex showdown?
This podcast has gone off the rails. I'm going to assume it's Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen, okay. I'm going to stick with Keenan Allen if it's that.
All right, man.
And then let's wrap it up. Tyler Boyd and Calvin Ridley.
You sure he doesn't mean who's the Ridley for Chicago? His younger brother?
Oh, yeah, he could. Yeah. Good point, man. Any other Boyds in the league?
No, this is tough. I don't know if we can answer this entire question. This is a
No,
tough
it's
one.
I like Tyler Boyd though. I think rest of the season he is going to have some games here.
All right, good question.
Cool.
Good question
That
there.
was fun, man. That was awesome. We're all for it. Shoot them our way anytime, and even if they confuse us a little, we'll try to give our best insight, which won't mean much. But that about does it here for the Week 14 season long podcast. Clinch those playoff spots, survive in advance, do what you got to do. For Brian, I'm Walid, and we'll catch you on the flip side.